Marcus Chun had saved every credit for 3 years to afford the beaten-up cargo hauler sitting in Bay 47 of Kepler Station shipyard. The starbound vagrant wasn't much to look at: dented hull plating, outdated navigation systems, and a fusion drive that wheezed like an old man climbing stairs. But she was his ticket to freedom from the corporate mining contracts that had defined his life. The Vorthen dealer, Klex, had been unusually eager to close the sale. His 4 eyes darted nervously as he transferred the ship's registration codes, mandibles clicking in what Marcus assumed was their equivalent of a nervous laugh. Very good ship. Human, very ... quiet ship. No problems, no. Marcus should have known something was off when Klex practically threw the access codes at him and scurried away without the traditional Vorthen blessing ceremony that usually accompanied major purchases. But the human was too excited about finally owning his own vessel to pay attention to alien social customs. The first week of ownership passed without incident. Marcus ran cargo between the Outer Rim colonies, learning his ship's quirks and documenting needed repairs. The vagrant had her problems, but she flew true and her cargo hold was larger than advertised. It wasn't until he was hauling medical supplies to the refugee camps on Theta Cygni that he discovered why Marcus was doing a routine inventory check when he heard a soft whimpering sound coming from behind what he'd assumed was a solid bulkhead. He pressed his ear to the metal and heard it again, followed by a gentle shushing sound. The hair on his arm stood up. After an hour of searching, he found the hidden panel. His engineering background served him well as he traced the power conduits and discovered the concealed activation switch. The wall section slid away with a pneumatic hiss, revealing a cramped but surprisingly well-appointed hidden compartment. 2 pairs of large, luminous eyes stared back at him from the shadows. The adult was clearly Zelani. Marcus recognized the species from the news feeds. About 4 feet tall, with iridescent blue-silver skin and delicate features that seemed almost ethereal. She clutched a smaller version of herself protectively, both of them trembling with obvious terror. "Please," the female whispered and accented. Stander, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We mean no harm. Do not turn us in." Marcus raised his hand slowly, keeping his voice soft. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm Marcus. This is my ship now." The female's large eyes widened further. "Your ship? But Klex said we could hide here until—" She stopped abruptly, covering her mouth. "Until what?" Marcus asked gently, settling into a crouch to appear less threatening. The small Zelani child peeked out from behind its mother, curiosity overcoming fear. It couldn't have been more than the equivalent of a human 5-year-old. "Until the hegemony ship stopped searching for us," the mother finished quietly. "I am Lyra. This is Zeph. We ... We escaped from a labor camp on Proxima 7. Marcus felt his stomach drop. He'd heard about Proxima 7 on the underground. Channel's entire families of Zelani had been enslaved there after their homeworld was annexed by the Terran hegemony for its rare mineral deposits. Officially, the hegemony claimed they were providing employment opportunities. Unofficially, everyone knew it was barely legal slavery. "How long have you been hiding in here?" he asked. 17 days, Lyra replied. "Klex promised to take us to the neutral zones, but then he said he had to sell the ship quickly. He gave us enough food for a month and told us to stay hidden until we reached safety." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, mind racing. Harboring escaped Zelani could get him 20 years in a hegemony prison. But looking at the frightened mother clutching her child, he knew there was only one choice a decent human being could make. "Well," he said, managing a smile, "looks like we're all going to the neutral zones together." Over the following weeks, Marcus learned about his unexpected passengers. Lyra had been a teacher on Zelani Prime before the occupation. She spoke 17 languages and had been forced to work as a translator in the labor camps. Little Zeph was brilliant beyond his years, already showing the mathematical aptitude his species was famous for. They taught Marcus basic Zelani, while he showed them how human technology worked. Zeph was fascinated by the ship's navigation computer, picking up concepts that would have taken human children years to understand. The journey to the neutral zones took 3 weeks, with several close calls at hegemony checkpoints. Marcus had installed better shielding around their hiding spot and created false cargo manifests to explain his ship's apparent overconsumption of life support resources. On their final night before reaching Sanctuary Station, Lyra found Marcus on the bridge, staring out at the stars. "Why?" she asked simply. "Why risk everything for strangers?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "My grandfather told me once that a person's true measure isn't found in what they achieve for themselves, but in what they're willing to sacrifice for others who can't protect themselves. I guess I wanted to be the kind of person he could be proud of." Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "He will be proud. You have given us back our lives, our freedom. How can we ever repay such a gift?" "Just live," Marcus said. "Live free. Raise your son to know he's worth something. And maybe someday help someone else who needs it." When they reached Sanctuary Station, Marcus helped them disappear into the refugee networks that would eventually reunite them with other surviving Zilani. As they prepared to part ways, little Zeph ran back and pressed something into Marcus's hand, a small carved figurine of a Zilani starbird. "For luck," the child said in careful standard. "Thank you for being good human." Marcus watched them disappear into the crowd, then looked down at the carved figure. It was beautiful work, intricate and meaningful. He placed it on his control console where he could see it every day. The starbound vagrant felt empty without his passengers, but Marcus found he couldn't go back to simple cargo runs. Word spread quietly through certain channels about a human pilot who could be trusted, who asked no questions and expected no payment beyond fuel costs. His ship became an underground railroad among the stars, carrying those who needed a second chance to places where they could find it. It wasn't the life of comfortable independence he'd originally planned, but it was something better. It was a life that mattered. And every time he looked at Zeph's carved starbird, Marcus remembered that sometimes the most important cargo a ship could carry was hope.